course, a home is where many of us are supposed to feel safe, but I'm afraid, according to stats, South Africans, it could be the opposite for many of us. According to Stats SA, housebreaking has increased significantly. Listen to this, almost 1 million households experiencing incidents in the 2021-2022 year. So Dr. Chris de Kock is a crime analyst joining us this morning. Doctor, good to have you on eNCA. That's a 21.5% increase. Good heavens, any idea what's led to this? I imagine, and I'm seeing reports that 3 particular provinces, we need to talk about that, being KZN, Gauteng and the Western Cape. Why the sudden jump in the numbers? Doc, good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers. You see, this is exactly the problem. The victim survey, I have nothing against the victim survey. It's done very scientifically. We can trust it and everything. But the victim survey is not there to generate figures. They can't generate crime figures with a crime survey. But now they present these figures and they say there was 1.43 million house breakings in 21-22.
Yeah.
If we look at the police figures is 156,078, which is about a tenth of the figures that Stats South Africa have now yesterday released. And how they come to it is they do the survey, they found how many people don't report housebreaking, which is about 40% basically. And they then take that and they take it to the population base, the census data, all of those things that they have. And they then calculate and they create new crime figures, if I can put it like that. What they should have done is they should have taken this 40% undercount or underreporting figure and adapt the police figure of 156,078, 156,000, and they will then get a figure of 260-something thousand. And that, I think, is a more realistic figure, which is still about 5 times lower.
It's actually worse than what we thought it was. I mean, that's the takeaway from this, isn't it, Doc? It's still shockingly high, the number of house break-ins. Talk to me, if you can, for a moment, outside of how the numbers are put together, because you're quite right. You need to be able to trust the numbers and the under-reporting and the non-reporting of house break-ins. Are you able to give me a sense and a view on why there's been this jump in the house break-ins in the last year?
Well, if you look at the police figures, it doesn't jump. You see, property crime didn't jump like your violent crime. There are some of the violent crimes like murder. I mean, we had a murder explosion in 21-22. Literally an explosion in murder. I've done some calculations. I've done quite a bit of work on that. And in 21-22, we actually had a double-digit increase in murder of 16.6%. That's the highest increase I've ever seen in my life as an analyst. We never had a double-digit increase. But if you look at Stats South Africa figures, their murders is actually lower than the police figures. Now, that shows you that these things that they calculate crime stats is just incorrect. Because the murders of the police was 2617, well, actually 24,865. Let's make it 25,000.
Yeah.
And if you adapt, they now suddenly have a 5% undercount or underreporting on murder, which I don't know how they get to that. But the fact of the matter is that will rise it with another 1,000, say to 26.
Who should we be trusting, Doctor? Because you've raised it again. You're raising a very good point, and you've raised it for a second time. Because we can't almost talk about the numbers, can we? If we don't understand which ones we can trust. So, as far as crime numbers in our country are concerned, who do we trust? The crime fighters or the number crunchers?
I think what we should do is we should trust the crime fighters' figures. I mean, those figures are the official figures, certified by the very same Stats South Africa. But we should acknowledge and we should remember that these are not, all crimes are not reported.
Correct.
And that is where the crime survey comes in and then gives us the underreporting rates for each crime category. So we can take that underreporting rate and then adapt each figure of the police, of the crime fighters, and come to a more realistic figure.
Well, I see as well, just the final question. We have our reporter, Govan Whittles, doing a story for us on this as well, Doctor, as well, that 50% of those interviewed say they didn't report a crime after witnessing it. Forgive me for looking off camera. I was just looking for the stat here next to me, Doctor. And it's now gotten to that point where I don't want to say crime apathy. It's almost crime reporting apathy, because most of the Africans feel it's not going to make a difference anyway. So it could actually be worse than what those numbers, even the ones we do trust, are telling us. So why do you think people are not reporting crimes?
Well, look, the first reason why they don't report crimes is they believe that the police can't or don't want to do anything about it in any case. So why would I report it? I'm going to report this case, and then they're going to open a docket, and the docket is going to be filed. I think that's one of the main reasons, but there are many other reasons as well. People may not be insured, so it is not worthwhile for them to go and report, because they're not going to do an insurance claim. Also, people may say, well, it's actually a very small crime. It doesn't affect me too much. I'm not going all that way for this very small crime. Yeah. You find also that people don't report attempts. There's attempted housebreaking, attempted car theft, all of those. People don't report it. Specifically me as an analyst, I would say people should report even the attempts, because that gives us a better picture of our crime. And the basis of crime prevention is your crime picture. If you don't have a solid picture, you can't do crime prevention.
Absolutely. Doctor, thank you so much. I appreciate your time in talking to us. We were talking about the jump in and the increase in housebreakings as well, but it's fascinating to hear the disparity between the different sets of numbers between the SAPS crime stats and Stats SA, and then the victims survey as well. It's good to have Dr. Chris de Kock joining us to unpack and make sense of that for us. He's a crime analyst joining us here on eNCA.